Right now, a camp for neurodivergent kids faces challenges as it runs the risk of losing federal funding. Also, another teen is dead after the wrong-way crash into forest last weekend. And we take you to Atwood Avenue for this year's Atwood Fest. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Now, imagine a classroom dedicated to opening up the world of science for neurodivergent kids. That's exactly what one UW professor created for free. But our Elia Liberté shows us how the National Science Foundation cuts announced in the spring could change how he does that.
We're making solar ovens today.
Michael Notaro believes that science should be shared, which is why he started STEM camps in Beloit, the Wisconsin Dells, and here at the Henry Vilas Zoo.
The main goals of the camps is to support the kind of interest and pursuit of science degrees and careers, to foster and support neurodiversity and to celebrate it.
His biggest inspiration is his family.
My son Hayden, he's 12 years old. He's autistic. He's a real joy. My wife Dawn is also autistic.
But this year, the camp funding was cut
because of concerns related to DEI.
Notaro's camps ran on a grant from the National Science Foundation, which saw widespread cuts from the Trump administration.
That was pretty crushing.
Leaving Notaro relying almost solely on private donors.
It's disappointing because, in essence, what this is doing is we're supporting science, we're supporting youth, we're supporting diversity.
He says he's looking for alternative sources of funding, but many of the grants that would have applied to his camp just aren't there anymore.
In the long term, my goal is really to see that this kind of program expands, doesn't just sustain, but expands.
For one of the education instructors, Silverius Materi, the camps open up the joys of the zoo.
There's like an excitement, they're ready to explore.
According to Materi, this is the largest camp the zoo has seen so far.
So
Now, Notaro has concerns as to whether or not the camp will continue because of the funding cuts, but he plans on making some adjustments and applying for grants through UW. Let's go ahead and get a look at your first one forecast with the meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze?
We are looking at 2 alert days, one for Sunday and one for Monday. Both days we are expecting those temperatures to get into the 90s, a little bit warmer on Monday, but both days, in addition to those hot temperatures, it is going to feel like we're in either the mid to upper 90s, if not the low 100s, especially there on Monday as temperatures climb into the low to mid 90s. So here's a look at our forecast for Sunday as we begin to plan out the day. Expect temperatures to be in the upper 80s to low 90s. After some morning fog burns off. Dew points are going to be high as well, so that's the reason why our heat index values, or what it will feel like, will be in those mid to upper 90s, if not a few low 100s on Sunday. Let's fast forward into Monday. After the sun goes down Sunday night, it is still going to feel muggy out there, but take a look at Monday's forecast. Southwesterly winds now bump up our temperatures and bump up what it is going to feel like as well. So both days, please make sure that you are staying cool and hydrated, taking breaks if you're outside, whether that's for play or for work. And the same goes for your pets as well. There's a look at our forecast tonight. We're headed only into the upper 60s to low 70s. Again, fog is likely going to develop tonight and stick around into the morning hours on Sunday, but there is some relief from the heat and humidity. We're going to take a look at where that relief is now, when it gets here, and what that means for our temperatures and our humidity in the full forecast.
All right, sounds good, Blaze. We'll see you in just a bit. A second person is dead in the aftermath of the overnight crash that happened in the forest last weekend. The Wisconsin State Patrol reported a second teen died after a fatal crash on I-3990 near the forest last Sunday. The driver was identified as a 19-year-old teen from Clara City, Minnesota. An initial investigation showed an SUV driving the wrong way and struck a vehicle traveling northbound. The SUV driver was arrested for driving while intoxicated. The Wisconsin State Patrol reported on Tuesday another Minnesota teen died in the crash. Monona police arrested a man Friday after reaching speeds of nearly 100 miles per hour. Officers reported the man was going 99 miles per hour on US 12 and on Southtown Road. They conducted a traffic stop north of East Broadway. Monona police reported the driver refused to submit a field sobriety test and he was placed into custody. The 37-year-old Verona man was arrested for his third OWI. Staying in Monona, a Madison teen is arrested Friday for his alleged involvement in a stolen vehicle pursuit. Monona police received reports of a stolen vehicle on East Broadway. Officers attempted to pull the vehicle over, but it sped away. Officers continued the chase, and the vehicle would eventually pull into an empty parking lot along Wabasa Road. The driver and 2 passengers fled on foot, and they were able to catch one of them. The person identified was one of the passengers. The driver and the other passenger remain at large. Madison Festival works to help people with disabilities take pride in themselves. The 10th annual Madison Disability Pride Festival aims to be accessible to people of all abilities, from mats to help wheelchairs navigate over the grass to all green sensitive food vendors, and the goal is to allow everyone to enjoy the festivities. Organizers also say the event helped people with disabilities to connect with one another who also understand them.
First of all, people with disabilities are the one minority that anyone can join at any time. You know, we don't know how things are going to work out. And so I think access is everyone's issue, because sooner or later it may be yours. We try and create a community around people with disabilities so that, you know, you have other friends who are like you. It's having a community that gets you that's so important to us.
Organizers say thanks to their generous sponsors, they're able to provide the food at the festival for free. Atwood Fest turns up to 11 on Madison's east side. The longtime summer staple brings food and drinks, live music, craft vendors, and so much more to Atwood Avenue. Organizers work to make sure old music favorites return, while also bringing in new bands to keep the festival sound fresh and return for visitors.
We always have something traditional, something borrowed, and something new. So we always have our traditional bands like Steely Dan and VO5, and then we always have our borrowed bands that played here last year that did a good job. We're putting them in a different position. And then, of course, new bands who never played the festival before. It's their first time, and it's always fun seeing those bands come in and experience what it's like to be at this festival that's different from everyone else because it's embedded right into the neighborhood.
The event runs through the weekend with live music into tonight and tomorrow, and starting up again tomorrow at noon. Coming up next on News 3 Now at 6, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. 16 members of a task force intended to help guide what insurers must pay for.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Thank you for staying with us. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. plans to remove all 16 advisors on the Preventative Services Task Force. That's according to reporting by the Wall Street Journal. The task force makes recommendations about preventative services like screenings for cancer and various disorders. The Affordable Care Act requires insurers to provide those recommended services to members at no cost. The Health and Human Services Secretary has authority to name and fire members of the task force. What's unclear is who he would replace with them, or if he would replace them at all. Last month, RFK dismissed all 17 members of the CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee. 2 days later, he named 8 new picks, including several who questioned the safety of vaccines. Living in hot places doesn't just make your skin age faster. It does it to your entire body. That's according to a new study that found extreme heat makes you age more quickly. Researchers looked at more than 3,600 people over 55 years old. They found people who experienced at least 140 days of a heat index over 90 degrees aged up to 14 months faster than those who only experienced it 10 or such days per year. That's about the same as the impact of smoking or heavy alcohol use. Accelerated biological aging increases the risk of cancer, dementia, diabetes, and early death. Soon get billions of dollars of funding for public schools that was previously withheld by the Trump administration. The Department of Education says the more than $5 billion in funding will be returned to states starting next week. Last month, the administration announced it was withholding nearly $7 billion in funds so the White House Office of Management and Budget could conduct a review. The funds had already been appropriated by Congress. Last week, the White House announced it was releasing over $1 billion of the frozen funding for after-school programming. The administration says there will be guardrails to make sure the funds will be used in ways that align with the president's priorities. President Trump is in Scotland as part of what White House officials are calling a working visit. On Saturday, he was greeted by Scottish protesters. This comes as the Justice Department wrapped up a second day of questioning Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator. CBS News' Weisha Zhang has more.
The White House has called President Trump's 5-day trip a working visit. He'll hold trade talks on Sunday with the chief of the European Union, and he's scheduled to meet with the British Prime Minister on Monday. But he's expected to spend most of his trip at 2 of his Gulf resorts, Trump Turnberry in the west and Trump International in the north. The president received a less than warm reception from some Scottish protesters.
I think the vast majority of Scots have this sort of feeling about Trump. Even though he has Scottish roots, he's a disgrace to us.
We're saying no, we don't want you here.
Many demonstrators carried signs linking the president to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The Justice Department's reluctance to divulge more information about Epstein has dogged the president in recent weeks.
On Friday, Epstein's former girlfriend and convicted conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell met with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche for a second day of questioning. According to Maxwell's lawyer, she was asked questions about 100 different people, and she did not hold anything back.
We haven't asked for anything. This is not a situation where we're asking anything in return for testimony or anything like that.
Upon his arrival in Scotland, the president was asked about the possibility of pardoning Maxwell.
This is just not a time to be talking about pardons. Todd will come back with whatever he's got. You're making a very big thing over something that's not a big thing.
The Justice Department has not indicated when they will share information related to their 2-day interview with Maxwell, noting only that they will do so at the appropriate time. Weijia Zhang, CBS News, Edinburgh, Scotland.
The president continues to monitor the situation in the Middle East from Scotland. On Saturday, he spoke with the King of Jordan. During his phone call, the king reportedly urged the president to exert all efforts to stop the war in Gaza. This comes 2 days after the president's special envoy with Steve Witkoff cut short Middle East peace talks, noting that Hamas has shown a lack of desire to reach a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Blaze Keller returns with a complete look of your... Let's get a look at your first warn forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze.
We are in store for another hot and humid set of days. Sunday and Monday, both alert days, and we've already touched on it. But again, because we are expecting temperatures to be in the low to mid 90s, and with dew points into the 70s, it's going to feel like we're in the low triple digits, especially on Monday. That's after some patchy fog develops not only this evening, but then burns off as we go into Sunday morning. We'll time that out here in just a moment, but there is some good news for folks who do not really vibe well with this heat and humidity. There is some relief on the way. Where is that system that is going to bring us that relief? It's all the way up there, even north of Alaska right now. By Monday, it'll be somewhere here in parts of Canada. And then further into next week, by about late Thursday night into early Friday, that center of high pressure is going to be overhead. This high pressure system is going to be pulling down not only cooler air, but drier air as well. So watch as our temperatures go from the low to mid 90s tomorrow, Monday, even still feeling hot and humid on Tuesday, to much more comfortable air, starting especially Thursday into Friday and Saturday. That cold front is going to move through on Wednesday, and it takes about a day after the cold front passes for that new air mass to be overhead. So that's why Thursday and especially Friday is when we will feel the lack of humidity and especially those cooler temperatures. Watch our dew points go from oppressive in those upper 60s to low 70s down to just noticeable into those low to mid 50s. So we're going to be really getting that humidity, that moisture out of here as we round out next week and go into the upcoming weekend after a pretty hot and humid start to the work week. Again, we're expecting temperatures both tomorrow and Monday, and even Tuesday for that matter, low to mid 90s. But this cooler than normal trend does look to stick around as we go into the first a few days of August. From about the 1st through the 5th, we're looking at about a 50 to 60% chance of being cooler than average here across southern Wisconsin. Again, the darker the blue means the higher the confidence level, not necessarily the cold, the cooler we will be. And on the flip side of that, the darker the reds, the higher the confidence level. Now, as I also mentioned, because winds are going to be turning out of the southwest tonight, we're moving in warm air because we got to get into the 90s for Sunday, and that's going to cause what we call an atmospheric cap. So we're going to be dealing with some fog as we go overnight into Sunday. But notice that by about 9, 10, maybe as late as 11, the fog is on out of here. The sooner we can do that, the likelier it'll be that we get into those upper 80s to low 90s. If we keep the fog around for a little bit longer on your Sunday morning, then maybe we hang out in the upper 80s and we don't really see a whole lot of low 90s. But I think Jalen and folks at home, we get into those low to mid 90s on Monday. Shower and thunderstorm chances, we can't rule them out. Sunday night, Monday night, and Tuesday night. But because we're going to be so hot, we have to really wait for that cold front to move on through, which is going to be Wednesday, for more of that daytime activity. And then we sit dry in very comfortable conditions for the second half of next week into the upcoming weekend.
Yeah, I mean, minus those couple days, next week looks pretty comfortable, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's been, it feels like we've been underneath this heat dome for quite some time. I'm ready for maybe a few days where we can break out the sweatshirts, sit outside, and not just constantly be sweating, especially into the evening hours. So I'm really looking forward to especially Thursday and Friday of next week.
Yeah, I love when I can just like open the window and just turn on a fan and not have to turn on the AC. That's when it really feels the best. That's just me though. We'll see.
No, I agree, and I think that'll happen there Thursday and Friday, even into the upcoming weekend. I mean, upper 70s to low 80s through Sunday. I'll take it.
All right, well, sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. We'll see you in just a bit. Still ahead, we head to Minnesota for the 3M Open. Those highlights in sports next. John Blackwell was under-recruited in college, but proved people wrong in his first year in college. After making the Big Ten freshman team, he made a big jump last season, and there was speculation he could hear his name in the NBA draft. After Wisconsin's run in March Madness, the guard declared for the NBA draft, worked out for NBA teams, got a lot of amazing feedback, and just grew his game. The Michigan native ultimately decided to return to Wisconsin for his junior season, but says this past summer was a game changer.
Well, yeah, it was a blessing to be able to test the draft waters and get my name in there. I had some pretty good workouts for some really good teams.
Just getting better at my game, getting more physical, getting stronger, being a better defender off the ball. So things like that, and I'm just going to do it this year.
Got great feedback, had a good pro day, and just, this is my decision to come back and, try to be there next year on June 25th, get my name called. So, yeah.
Now we head to the Twin Cities for the third round of the 3M Open. We head to the 8th hole, and there we're going to see Thorbjørn Olsen with one of the best shots of the year, if not the best shot of the year, something you might see in a trick shot contest. He gets this crazy hole-in-one from over 200 yards out. Olsen is tied at 18 under for the lead, heading into Sunday's final. The Brewers may have lost their title for best record in baseball, but they're still on a heater. The Crew were 14-5 in the month of July and look to get back in the win column against the Marlins. Now, their game started just a few minutes ago. Right now, the score is 0-0 at the bottom of the first inning. We'll have highlights tonight at 10. And next week, the Crew play the Cubs in a critical series. And on Tuesday night, you can watch the Brewers on our sister television station, Television Wisconsin. As Blaze talked about in the last block, it seems as if it's going to be a little bit warmer. I mean, for those that may be making that trip out to Wisconsin, out to Milwaukee, what should they expect, Blaze?
Again, it is going to be a hot and humid Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. If you're going to be going anywhere over the next couple of days, please, again, just make sure that you're drinking plenty of water. Apply the sunscreen. Take some breaks if you are outside, whether that's for fun or whether that is for working, just so that you don't get overheated. Temperatures are going to stick in the 70s through about 10 o'clock tonight, and then we'll eventually slip into those upper 60s as we head further overnight, becoming more partly cloudy with some fog developing after the midnight hour, going into Sunday. So if you're up early on Sunday, you will be running into some patchy fog. We may see some dense fog advisories being issued. If that were to be the case, we'll of course pass that along to you. In the meantime, upper 60s to low 70s tonight. There's a look at that 7 and 10 day forecast. 90s Sunday and Monday. Still hot and humid on Tuesday, but we'll be a few degrees cooler. And then look at that, Thursday onwards. That's when we sit underneath clear to mostly clear conditions, low humidity, overnight lows in the upper 50s to low 60s, daytime highs in the upper 70s to low 80s. A very nice, comfortable end to next week. And it looks like maybe we'll be saying goodbye to the heat and humidity for at least a little bit. It looks like maybe here as we start August, we'll be a little bit more seasonal, if not slightly cooler than average.
I mean, again, I'm digging those temps, so I may have to go out for a run one of those days, but sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. We'll see you all back here at 10 o'clock. As always, we're streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000.